Hey YouTube, Matches 860. Smoking the Friday Savinelli with a special blend I made. Latakia, cigar leaf, cube cut burley. It's excellent. Gonna ramble a little bit on this beautiful summer day. About what it was like growing up back in the 60s, which seems like 100 years ago. Definitely a different time. The town I grew up in had trash and garbage pickup once a week. I don't think anybody picks up garbage anymore. But anyway, every house had a in-ground garbage can, usually on the side of their garage. Had this metal lid on top with a foot pedal. You could just put your foot on the pedal, open the lid, drop your garbage in. Sat there for a week. Garbage truck would come around. Summertime, it was unbelievable. The whole neighborhood stunk. I have this one memory, it's really vivid. I was probably about 6 years old, playing in the yard. The garbage truck showed up. And the guy comes over and he flips the lid off, pulls the bucket out of the ground. The thing was dripping, just junk coming out of it. He put the can up on his shoulder. All this garbage juice was running down his back. He was wearing a t-shirt. It was all messed up. I remember thinking, that is cool. He walked it over to the truck, which had a trough in the back of the truck. Every so often when the trough would fill, there was a hydraulic lever that they'd pull. The trough would go up top of the truck and it would end up being upside down. All the garbage would go into the truck. Nasty. That only lasted till about the mid-60s, I guess. People who didn't have garbage disposals, I guess, just mixed the garbage in with the trash. Of course, when it was trash day, everybody had galvanized steel trash cans. Trash truck would come along and guys would empty the trash, bang the cans against the truck to get all the trash out. Then they'd chuck your trash cans back on your lawn or in your driveway. Half the times it rolled back out into the street. I can remember people spray painting their trash cans with their house number, presumably so that you could locate your can if it rolled halfway down the street. The greatest thing about summer, though, of course, was being out of school. Being outside all the time, you hear all the sights and sounds of the neighborhood. See the sights and hear the sounds. One sound I'll never forget. Everybody used to dry their clothes out on a clothesline. You don't see that very often anymore either. Usually you had a rope that went from your house out to a tree. And there was a pulley on the house and the tree. Everybody's pulleys squeaked. About 9 o'clock in the morning, walking through the neighborhood, you'd hear all the squeaking of clotheslines. Always cracked me up, because in the afternoons, if it started to get cloudy out and it looked like it was going to rain, there'd be this massive squealing in the neighborhood, everybody pulling their laundry in. The other thing I can remember, I think it was probably for only 4 or 5 summers that I could remember. The big thing was spraying for mosquitoes. And my town had a oversized pickup truck that had this device on the back that looked like a miniature cement mixer. Big spraying unit. Sounded kind of like a idling jet engine. I can remember hearing that coming into the neighborhood. Every kid would run to see it. If they were on a bike, they'd be following it around the streets. Of course, we found out later they were spraying DDT. Every kid was exposed to that, because if you weren't following it on a bike, getting soaked by the mist, when it would come by the yard that you were playing in, you'd duck down onto the lawn, cover your face, and you could feel the mist hitting your arms. I can still remember the smell of that stuff. Now, I don't think it really did any good, because they only sprayed the edges of the road. They'd point this thing up towards the trees. It would blow the leaves all over the place, killing all the birds probably. That was a lot of fun though. You heard that thing coming in the summer. Almost as good as hearing the Popsicle Man come through the neighborhood. Always used to come through right before supper. It would piss off all the mothers. Your mother would give you a nickel or a dime or something. Run out to the Popsicle Truck. The very first one I remember was just a pickup truck with a square refrigerator unit on the back of it. I think you could only get a popsicle off it. Later on, the big white truck would come through. Actually had a serving window in it. I think you could probably get hot dogs and hamburgers off that guy too. Back in the early 60s as well, the grocery stores were nothing like they are today. Usually people would go just to get like their cereal and canned goods, maybe some meats. We had delivery of eggs, milk. Might have been a bread man that came around too. All during the day you'd hear this constant squeal of the brakes stopping in front of houses. Everybody had a what they called a breezeway. Some people call it a mudroom, I guess. Had your little milk container, milk chest there where they'd drop the milk off. A lot of people would leave a note on the door frame asking for, 2 dozen eggs or whatever from the egg man. Good times, good times. Anyway, just a few of my thoughts about what I remember summers being like when I was real young. Thanks an awful lot for joining me. Have a great weekend.